Hi all. Today we will be exploring the idea of the economy as a macroeconomic control room. The government constantly adjusts different economic control to maintain balance between growth, employment, prices, trade, and fairness. The challenge is that improving one area can sometimes create problems in another. So let's learn it in detail. So the three layers of economic governance. What are the three layers? The economic governance operate at three levels, right? At the local level, government provides services like schools, hospitals, and transportation. So we have the local scope. So providing localized public goods, schools, hospitals, and street lighting. Okay. Then we have the next level, that is national level. So they focus on economic growth, employment, and inflation control. Okay. So the national scope is directing the macro system, targeting economic growth, and maintaining low inflation. Okay. Lastly, we have the global level, right? So what is global level? Navigating cross-border dynamics, right? Managing the trade of goods and services. So basically, the countries manage trade and international economic relationship, right? So at all three layers are connected and influence each other. So all these three layers are connected and they influence each other. Okay. Now we have to check the five pillars. Okay. The five pillars of macroeconomics. So there are five major goals of macroeconomic policy. First one is economic growth. Right. What is economic growth? The core objective will be increase the production of goods and services. Right. And the benefits will be improving living standards, healthcare, and house. So it creates jobs, raises tax revenues, and stabilizes long-run prices. And this is how they provide these benefits. Got it? Then we have low unemployment. Okay. So ensuring more people have jobs and income, right? So maximizing the workforce participation. And it will prevent the waste of economic resources and human hardship, right? So it replaces tax funded unemployment support with the independent incomes. So people will be able to support themselves, right? Then we have the price stability or stable prices. Why it is needed? To maintain low inflation and purchasing power. So inflation reduces the purchasing power, right? So it creates economic certainty for households and businesses. And it allow confident forward planning and improve international competitiveness. Okay. Then we have the balance of payments. What is balance of payments? The balance in the international trade, right? So balance national export and imports. So it prevents national debt and dangerous trade deficits and leverages strong export to anchor sustainable growth. And the last one is income redistribution. This is the major goal, right? To reduce poverty and extreme inequality. And it prevents wealth gap induced social unrest. So we know that in every economy there will be some richest persons and some poor people, right? So to reduce the gap between them, the government is focusing on income redistribution. So what is income redistribution? Basically, when we are paying the tax, right? When everybody is paying the tax, most of the countries are following progressive taxation, right? That is, based on the earnings, you need to pay the taxation. For those who earn less, their tax percentage will be less. So, these collected tax revenue is the revenue of the government, right? So, they will be using that for improving the social infrastructures like schools, roads, electricity, healthcare systems, etc. So that the poor people can afford them with a very less or no price at all. Okay, so that will be mostly welfare oriented. And they will also provide pensions, scholarships, and other supporting aids for the poor people, right? So that is how the government is focusing on redistribution. So that will definitely improve the society, right? The life quality of. Okay. So it promote fairness and equalizes opportunities across societal groups. So these are the five pillars of an optimized macro economy. Now let's see what are the policy conflicts. Okay. So economic policies are interconnected, right? We have already mentioned that. So when government push strongly towards one objective, it can unintentionally affect another. For example, let's see, like stimulating growth may increase inflation, right? For like when the government is trying to provide full employment situation or any other more funding in the economy, it will gradually lead to a higher inflation level, which is not good for the country. So while controlling inflation may slow the growth and increase unemployment. Okay. So this creates what economists call as paradox of prosperity. What is that? Paradox of prosperity. Okay. Paradox of prosperity, where improving one area can destabilize another. Okay, so basically the mechanisms that drive one pillar up inevitably exert downward pressure on another. Pushing the system towards one absolute goal triggers system imbalance. Okay, so we have to focus on all in a balanced manner. Clear? Then we have employment versus price stability. Let's see how job creation affect the price stability. So the conflict between full employment and stable prices, right? When the government create more jobs, consumer spending increases. Higher demand can push prices upward if supply cannot keep up. That is what happens, right? So when the employment, okay, when the employment is increasing, definitely people will have more income in their hands, right? The disposable income, they will have more. So as a result, they will be able to demand more, right? They will be able to demand more. So the sudden increase in the demand will create some shortages in the market. As a result, what will happen? The producers might increase the prices. So the prices will goes up and it will result in inflation. So as a result, inflation may rise, reducing price stability. This demonstrates the delicate balancing act policymakers face. So even though we need to improve better living condition by providing more jobs and more income, it might result in an increased inflation, which reduces the welfare of the people. So what was the action here? Full employment increases, right? And what triggered? Consumer spending surges. And what was the consequence? Aggregate demand outpasses supply. So we remember the graph, right? This is the supply and demand graph, right? The normal supply demand graph. It was in equilibrium. And when the income increases, people will demand more. Okay. So if people demand this much, this is the this is the price supply at that time, and this is the demand. Okay, so it has this much shortages. Okay, so the prices may went up. So what is the risk? Inflation occurs, price stability decreases. Got it? Now let's see economic growth and inflation. So rapid economic growth can overheat the economy, right? So when demand for goods and services rises too quickly, businesses may struggle to meet demand. This creates inflationary pressure and pricing prices. While growth is beneficial, excessive growth without enough production capacity can become harmful. Okay, so as a result of rapid growth, what happens? Price will be in instability. There will be an overheating in the economy. Great. So what was the action here? Rapid economic growth. And what triggered here? Surging demand for goods and services. And what was the friction point? Demand violently exceeds available supply. And what was the risk? Rising inflationary pressure. Got it? Now let's see growth and trade deficit. Okay. So the economic expansion often increases imports. As people earn more income, they buy more goods, including products from other countries, right? So if imports rise faster than exports, a trade deficit will develop. So this can weaken the balance of payments and create dependence on foreign goods. So what was the action here? Economic growth accelerate, and it will increase the domestic capacity to purchase imports. So if we have more money, we can buy anything, right? So if you are only earning around 10,000 or 20,000 per month, you won't be able to afford any imported goods. At the same time, whenever you are earning 1 lakh or 2 lakh or 50,000, etc., you might able to buy imported goods, which will increase the demand for imported goods, right? So what were the consequences? Export failed to grow at a matching speed. So it doesn't mean that the export will also be growing, because if the export needs to be improved, there should be a higher demand from foreign countries. If that doesn't happen, the export will fail and import will be more. And what is the risk? We'll have to pay a lot of trade deficit and it will worsen the balance of payment. So also it will leak the money. Okay, there will be a leakage loop. So what is the leakage loop? So we know the circular flow of money, right? From household to firms. Then this was the two sector. Then we had the governments, right? Then we had the banks to balance it. And now we have the foreign trade. Okay. So when foreign trade is increasing, okay, when foreign trade is increasing, what will happen? So this money supply, okay, this money supply chain will break. Instead, more money will be flowing towards foreign economy, which means those money that should be spent on our economy will be flowing to outward, which decreases the growth in our country. Okay, this is the leakage. Got it? So this is a rising threat. Now let's see the domestic jobs and international trade. So creating more domestic jobs can also affect international trade. Higher employment increases household income and consumption. So consumers may spend more on imported products, increasing trade imbalances. So this shows how employment policies can create ripple effect across global economy. So what was the action here? Higher domestic employment and trigger sharp rise in domestic consumption, as we have mentioned already. The consequences will be consumer increasingly purchase imported goods. So there is excess import trigger debt, harming trade balance, right? So this is how the increase in domestic jobs affect our economy. So let's see the paradox. Okay, the conflict matrix. So this matrix summarizes the conflict between macroeconomic goals. Policies designed to improve one objective may create pressure on another, right? For example, fighting inflation can reduce growth, while boosting employment may worsen the trade deficit. So macroeconomic management is therefore about compromise and prioritization rather than achieving perfection in every area. So it is not possible to attain perfection in every area. Instead, what we need a balance. Okay, so when we are focusing more on growth, it will create demand pull inflation, right? And for balance of payment, import leakages will be there. And for employment, wage price spiral will be there. And for balance of payment, consumption ripple will be there. So we have to be very careful while we are dealing with the goals. So in conclusion, we can conclude that macroeconomic policy is the continuous management of competing goals, right? Government must carefully balance growth, employment, price stability, and trade balance, also the redistribution. So no single policy solves every problem at once. So the challenge of economics is choosing the best balance of for society while minimizing negative consequences. So I hope it is clear for you. Thanks for watching.